Now then, that is now recording. So just to let you know, you are now being and transcribed as well, which is horrible because when I see the screen, I have to get rid of it because it just is full of ums and ahs. Right, good. So, and we've got our screen shared. So you should be able to see your slides for today. Can you all see those all right? Should say reflection on the programme, webinar 3. So just to let you know that what this session is about really, and it's a good opportunity to just stop and think about the programme, where you've got to with your thinking. Some of this will contribute to your reflective journal. So the purpose is really to give you a chance to together think about what you've learned, how you're applying it, any resources that you've discovered on the journey. You can be sharing those in the chat. Anything else you want to say, either in the chat or through turning your microphones on, you can stick your hand up. It will help to facilitate the conversation a little bit more as well. So let's agree to do that, and let's make a start then. So these are the sorts of questions we want to be concentrating on, and I think it's best for us to just, like as I say, have an open discussion and go through them one by one. So what I wanted us to start off with thinking about was your journey. So you've been going on this now since around, was it April you started? April time, end of April, beginning of May. And at that point, I asked you to think about where you were on that little chart with the 4 squares on. Can you remember? Unconsciously incompetent, etc. So if you remember back to where you started and now think about where you are on that little grid, what have been the key learning points really for you as you've gone through that journey? Where are you now, and what have been the big takeaways for you? I don't care who starts, but I'd like people to give it a go. Okay, Rachel?
I think one of the biggest things for me, in terms of understanding where we are as a school, in particular, is I think we've got it now in terms of the events that we do, the trips that we do, the programme that we offer then is great. I think the big move for us forward is the evaluation part, taken away from the session that we did in terms of how we actually measure that impact at those different levels that we spoke about. So we're very good at doing things short term in terms of did students enjoy it, did they feel they got something out of it, a day or a week later, but actually it's where do we take it from there to really see the long-term impact. And I don't think there's an easy answer. When I was writing my reflective journal about it, I was thinking, actually, how do you do that in a really robust way? Because it's not something you can always get hard data on. Yes, attendance you can, yes, exam results you can, but actually how do you pinpoint it being down to the careers programme? It's a challenge.
Oh yeah, it sure is. I mean, in terms of evaluation, having a plan, not trying to do everything all in once, but over 5 years, really dig deep and evaluate one particular aspect, or 2 or 3 maybe per year. Don't try and do it all, because that then becomes super complicated. But yeah, I mean, thinking about well, the starting point really should be, what difference do you want it to have made? And of course, if you've got no idea of that, then it's really hard to then get the metrics. But if you think, when you're setting something up, about what difference do you want it to make, it then becomes easier to evaluate. We sometimes call that a theory of change. And I didn't do too much on theory of change with you, but if you wanted to get into evaluation in more depth, theory of change is the sort of area you want to be in, and that's where you sit down and go, well, we're going to do this programme, it's going to cost us this much, this is the kind of return that we want to get. So we want to have impact with learners, teachers, external stakeholders. What will that change look like? And then once you've kind of thought about that, then you should be able to think about how you're then going to measure that change.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
And having an evaluation plan, I actually think is really helpful. So alongside all the other plans that we're suggesting, you have CPD plans and things, having an actual evaluation plan, I think sometimes is helpful, because it can be overwhelming. And if you write it down as a plan with 2 or 3 areas per year, then it becomes more manageable.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
No problem at all. Okay, great. Who's going to go next for me then? Hayley, okay.
So mine would be to do with the strategic plan. Obviously, being completely overwhelmed at the beginning, thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? And actually, when I've been doing the strategic plan, thinking, okay, it isn't as bad as I thought it was. And the fact that actually there's quite a few things on my strength side, doing the SWOT analysis at school has been, at my school, sorry, has been really helpful, and actually a bit of a boost of, okay, we are doing this, and looking at the weaknesses and thinking, right, there's a couple of things that can be sort of easy wins to meet certain benchmarks where obviously we have sort of fallen down on, and things like that. So I think the SWOT analysis has been really useful.
Okay, good. That's really helpful. And again, this is one of a number of professional tools for analysis that you can use. Sometimes people talk about PEST analysis or PESTLE analysis. These are all similar kinds of tools available to a professional who wants to understand how to analyse their provision. So that in the PESTLE or PEST, P stands for political, for example. T stands for technology. So there are different ways of looking at this, but SWOT, I think, is a really good general one and helpful. Okay, so thanks for raising that. And Becky, sorry, not Becky, Hayley. Becky's the next person who I'm coming to. Becky, over to you.
I was just going to follow Hayley, actually, because for me as well, it's been one of the key points has been the strategic plan as well, because I really found that Riverside Academy strategic plan so helpful, because we didn't really have one. We only had a policy, and I didn't really know what the difference was between the policy and the strategy. So that's just been super helpful for me to look at. And going into a new role as well, they haven't got a strategy either. So that would just be really helpful to kind of go back to, but also that other information, just kind of pulling everything together, kind of the theory, and then thinking, well, actually, that's where we want to get to. That's actually what the policy needs to be, but actually, how are we going to get there? Like, what are the nuts and bolts of that? And the kind of longer term planning, I found that really, really helpful, just to think through. It made me realise you need a lot of time just to think. So yeah, really helpful.
This is true. Good. Okay, thank you for that then. Brilliant. Okay, anybody else want to share their key learning points? I'm sure I'll be able to get something out of all of you. Come on, let's do it. I can't believe I've stood up there talking. Oh, okay. Is it Sarah Ashby?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll keep the ball rolling. For me, perhaps one of the biggest one, apart from the strategic plan, which again, was massively overwhelming. I have nobody in the school that had ever heard of it or been following it or indeed looked at one. So, but apart from that, I think for me, it's about this job is much bigger than one person. And I think it's taken me a little while to try and accept the fact that although I've now been officially recognised and I am getting some kind of financial recompense for it, which is a big step forward, I've got no time. That's not been written in. But it's just so much bigger than just what I can do. And I think for me, I've got to accept that I can only get small wins. And it was trying not to, I think my CPD thing is really quite long, because I think, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and staff need to do this. And I don't know whether I'm yet winning on just thinking, actually, take a step back. I need to just take little steps, little chunks, and go from there. But yeah, much bigger role that isn't just on my shoulders, thankfully. But yeah, that's for my one.
Thank you. And of course, it is a big role, and you can't really do it by yourself. You need all those career champions and stakeholders that we spoke about on the course to help you with that. So it's a big sell, really. And you know, once you can get those people supporting you, then it will make your life easier. It really will. But well done on standing your ground and getting more recognition. You know, maybe the time will come, but for just getting the recognition and the financial reward is a big step in the right direction. So brilliant, well done. Okay, thank you. Kirsten then.
Yeah, I kind of nodded a lot just then, because it's exactly the same over here. And actually I've had time this term to kind of meet with different department areas and just to recognise that I can lead it, I can coordinate it, but I'm going to need everybody's help in getting it. So some people, as part of our PDR process next year, can opt to be like SEND champions, but we've also put in career champions as well to try and lift that exposure in each department. But I have met with kind of humanities, science, maths, just to say, this is what we need to do. How can you contribute to the plan? What is it that you could offer? You know, what trips could take place? What extracurricular can take place? And I think, yeah, like most people, we all feel it's very overwhelming and we don't have much time to do it. But actually having a bit of time to kind of liaise with every other department in the school, well, not every department yet, but just to say, what is it that you can offer that can kind of contribute to the plan?
Yeah. I mean, really good, and this is the leadership aspect, isn't it? Coming out here, not just the management aspect, but the leadership, taking that leadership role within your organisation, and you know, getting everybody involved and on board. So yeah, a big job, but once you've cracked that bit, life will become a lot easier, I'm sure. Yeah, well done, really well done.
Thank you.
Next then. Oh, go on then, Sean. Thank you.
Hiya. For me, I'm going back to like day one, session one, where we spoke about the role of the careers leader. I think I came into this job in January with maybe what I thought I would be doing, and it's probably so far away from that. But some of the things I've learned, it's not just about kind of what we should be doing, but I guess coming back to that team effort, but making sure everyone knows that everyone has a role and responsibility in achieving certain standards, and that everyone is a teacher of careers. And I don't just mean teachers are teachers of careers. You're talking about every single member of staff in the school, and everyone can have a conversation about careers. So something we're doing is I've got myself signed up on the training day in September to get all staff together, regardless of sort of who you are, and just go almost like back to square one and be like, what is careers? Let's get rid of those misconceptions about what it is. Almost like the activity you did with us, where we had to draw what we thought careers was, almost like iron out what people think it is, and then actually get into what it is. So everyone needs to be working from the same page, essentially, and pulling in the same direction. Currently, we're not doing that because everyone's kind of doing their own thing. So I'm hoping that we're going to get some sort of like consensus on it. And that then I think once you've got your aims clear, everyone can then buy into that, and then it's talking about kind of what is everyone's role in achieving our aims, and that will then help me deliver on things like your strategic plan, your long-term plans, things like that, and with focus on things like Little Gatsby benchmarks. But just making sure everyone knows their role, I think, is really important.
Yeah, getting that whole school vision and connecting it to the school's mission, so the governors and the head teacher can really help you drive it forward, I think is really critical. And you know, I think I probably spoke about mission during the programme at some stage, and I've seen good and bad ways of trying to set out what the mission of the school is, but in all ways I think you can connect careers. You just need to be clever about it, and if you can connect careers, then you're going to get more kind of leverage, I think, for resources. So that's certainly something to think about, and you know, helping everybody understand then how to contribute. I love this, all teachers are teachers of career, but it's not just teachers, it's all people in your organisation are involved in some way in career development, be it as role models or what have you. So making sure that everybody is tied into that message is super important. So yeah, really important point, Sean. Thanks very much for that. Brilliant. Right, who's the next? I saw another little hand go up. Angela, go on then, Angela, your turn.
Hi, everybody. For me, it was really looking at networking and sharing those ideas. Because we're such a small school and because we're a special needs school, it was really helpful to link in and see what other people are doing. And Sean, much like you, looking at ways now of developing that knowledge and skills through our curriculum rather than having it on as a tag on, so that is kind of grown from all the way through the school, and looking for those opportunities to develop that knowledge and skills in everything that we do. I think that has been really helpful. The other thing that I found really useful was the legislation, because that's really helped me to guide that policy and, embedding the things that we need to do. And it's not just a tick boxing, it's actually looking for ways of embedding that through. So it's been really good. Thank you.
Okay, oh good, thank you, thank you. We've had some impact then. So this is where I'm doing the reaction. Can you tell I'm doing reaction evaluation here? We'll talk about this later on in this session, but no, that's good to hear that you found it valuable and that those sessions have been useful. Thank you. And of course, legislation again is the thing that will give you leverage to get resources if you don't feel backed up sufficiently. So. Right, who else have we got? No hands up. Come on, who else hasn't had a word? What about you, Steve? Have you got anything to add here?
Yeah, I can do. Obviously, I want to echo what was just said and what everyone has said about strategic planning, and realised how huge that was. And I've had a couple of meetings with SLT in the last few days, and they've given me the first staff briefing session on our Tuesday back in September to talk about careers champions and the importance of embedding it within the curriculum. Although I'm teaching careers up here as a lesson, I've done a lot of networking since I've been on the course. So I'm grateful to you, Nikki, with everything you've been helping us, and the networking with all of you guys there, because it's brilliant to see the enthusiasm. I'm boiling over in this school with enthusiasm, and there are other teachers that just seem to lack enthusiasm, I think. And I've been chatting to them about ideas, especially that fantastic detective box, the careers detective box that was brought in. I thought that was brilliant. And some of our younger students, the Key Stage 2 students, they're already starting to run with a similar idea, and it's made their lessons so much more enjoyable. So yeah, just brilliant. Absolutely, all of it been so beneficial. Thank you.
Brilliant. That's really good. Yeah, that was one of my very happy memories on this particular course, was the career detective box. I loved it. It was such a lot of fun. Really good. Okay, I think you've all had a chance to say what your key points are now, I believe. So yeah, I think so. Sean, you still got your hand up. Did you want to come back in, or no? He's going, no, not again.
Sorry, I didn't realise you had to take it down. I thought it just went.
No, it doesn't. You have to do that yourself. Sorry. Okay, so I mean, I've been hearing a lot about how you're embedding what you've learned on the programme in your day-to-day activities, and that sounds really good. It seems to me that you've already been having. Oh, okay. That's Joanne Brown saying she can't join. You all seem to have been having some good with the senior leadership as well, which is brilliant. I want to. One for your staff, and then one for yourselves. And what I'm kind of interested here in thinking about is your own future CPD plan. So where do you go from here? Because now you're all whizzed up and excited, or whizzed up and terrified, one way or the other. It doesn't stop here, does it? There's more stuff that you've got to get your head around. And so what are you intending to do? The other part of this question is, how can you support each other in that? Okay, Sarah.
Okay, in terms of CPD for the staff, I'm in a similar position in that I've managed to sort of speak to the head, and he's agreed that I'm going to have a slot in the October inset, just because I want to do some auditing and sort of understand actually how much do my staff know about careers. And then I'm going to do a careers kind of training session during that October inset, following the results that I get back from their audit about how much they actually do know. So I'm going to try and get a little bit more hands-on with the staff, if I'm asking them to be leaders and teachers and advice, sort of kind of giving them information and imparting some guidance. I would like to get a little bit more hands-on with them. So that's my plan for them. In terms of my own, it has piqued massive interest in the area, but I still keep tossing up as whether I want to go backwards and do some more qualifications, just because of the workload. The workload I found doing this, I don't know how everyone else has found with the coursework at this time of the year. I found it quite so. Yeah, it's piqued lots of interest, a bit of fear, but that's where I'm planning to go at some point to see how I work out. But definitely with my staff, they're all going to end up with a
Yeah, that sounds really good. I think we're getting a little bit of interference, Sarah, with your reception. Sorry, but I got the impression from you that you've been working to get some sessions in for your staff, but also you've had some interest piqued for yourself and future development, but you're not quite sure yet what that's going to look like. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for starting us off on that question. I wonder if anybody else would like to come in then and talk about CPD, but also how you can support each other going forward as well. What would you like? Okay, Hannah.
So I've just kind of mapped out 4 CPD offers for the staff at my school on a different theme each week. So we've got key legislation, Gatsby benchmarks and code of ethics, and then embedding careers into the curriculum, which will be my biggest focus.
Yeah.
And then the promoting all pathways. So I've mapped out the 4 different sessions, because it is hard to get CPD time when you know everybody wants a piece of time. But I think those are the most important things for our school for the first year. In regards to my future CPD plans, obviously I'm not the named careers advisor. We don't have one or lead at the moment. But it would be to liaise with other schools. I know Nikki's been doing loads for me. Becky has been doing loads for me in like networking. So for me, it would be actually visiting other schools that have just kind of opened.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds interesting, doesn't it? Getting around other schools, and I think that's one really good way of learning. I mean, I guess you guys in this group could do that, work with each other. But there's nothing wrong with stepping outside the SEMLEP area as well, and going and having a look at schools in different areas, because they will also be offering different approaches. The other thing you might want to think about doing here is visiting colleges of FE or universities. So that would be the purpose of which, obviously, general information, but also to look at how students transition into those phases of learning, and to see what career support is available there, so that you can maybe align what your provision is looking like to that comes next, so students don't get such a shock when they move from one place to another. So that might be something that you certainly do. Certainly on our master's course, we encourage people to go and have a look at other different types of provisions, so they can see where theirs fits into the grand scheme of things. And you know, it's often told to me that is quite a helpful thing to do. So maybe that's something you guys could think about. I've got Hayley with a hand up. So Hayley, do you want to come in and talk about CPD and working together?
I was just going to say about the support, really. And I know, obviously, being middle school and Sarah being middle school and us feeding into the same upper school is really helpful, because obviously we've collaborated quite a lot together. But it's also when we been to the conference, the SEMLEP conference, obviously seeing some Faces from the course was really good there as well, and being able to sort of discuss various different things. So you know, whether sort of a group of us kind of, whether it's through WhatsApp or whatever, or through an email link, or have you, those people that want to sort of group together to just try and support each other, or ping questions when we've got them, or what have you, I think probably would help quite a lot of us.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I won't be closing the WhatsApp group down for the foreseeable future, so you will have that for a while at least. Usually what happens is they chat away for a little while and then gradually peter out as people find new networks or what have you, but that will be there for you to continue talking to each other. But of course you've got Mandy Green as well, who's kind of facilitated this group, and she will be facilitating the careers hub and ways of working together through that as well. So do look out for those opportunities so that you can get involved in those as well. Of course, there are other ways of doing that, but through to network outside this group. So obviously I spoke about the Career Development Institute. If you haven't become a member, think about doing that, because they have got practitioner, a career leaders group on there. The difference between that and the Facebook group is that the one in the Career Development Institute's portfolio is actually a managed and facilitated group. So and it's convened by somebody who's an expert in the field, so they can help navigate through things. Whereas the Facebook group, as excellent as it isn't actually convened by anybody in particular. So it's a bit of a free-for-all bum fight. So if you want something that's a quality assured thing, then the CDI would help. They also run training programs that are free once you're members, so there's lots you can get involved in there, and the resources and what have you. So that's helpful. And then of course there's things like ISEGS and other organisations that are publishing materials all the while or running events. And so do keep in touch with those things as well, so that you can make the most of those. And of course I would not be me if I didn't mention our Masters programme. So some of you might want to think about that, and we're happy to have a chat with you about how that would fit into your kind of working practices, if you like. So looking at where you can make the most of what you're doing already to help ease you through that particular thing. So lots going on for you. The thing is, this area of work doesn't sit still for long. There's always something that's happening, a new policy, a new piece of legislation, and an election next year, isn't there? So once we get a new party in control, then things will change again. So I think keeping abreast of all that will be really important as you go forward, and that you kind of maintain that kind of area of skills development, which I'm thinking you're now probably all consciously competent or consciously incompetent one way or another, but you're working on it, so that's good. What I wanted to just check with you, I mean, obviously I've had some positive feedback tonight. There is a link on the last slide that I'm going to give you, and it will come out in an email once you've completed your portfolios as well. But it's just kind of an interesting opportunity here to gather some feedback about what's worked really well, and anything that you might want to tell me that you think would improve the programme at all. Don't be shy. I can take it on the chin, this. So don't feel you've got to tell me stuff that I'd like to hear. You can tell me stuff that you think might be improvements as well. Okay, Sarah?
Go on, I'll just start off because I think I've mentioned it already. For me, timing of the actual programme. End of summer term is report writing, data, KPIs, you name it, we've got it. New form groups, transition days. It's juggling it, and I'm never sure whether there's a really a very good place to put it, to be honest. But it would have alleviated some of the stress of the portfolio if it was, for me, not at quite such a busy time. But I mean, other than that, I can't fault it. I think it's been absolutely fabulous. And it's really kind of got learning back for me and sort of given me a bit of impetus. But you know, timing, who knows?
I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, the thing with the programs are that they're rolling. The next SEMLab course starts in October, so it's a little bit not down to me, but about how we negotiate that with Mandy, and it was she who came up with the dates for this particular cohort. But we do run them through all the while. So as I say, the next group will be starting in October, so they won't have quite the problem. But I do accept that it is difficult. It's hard to get people through this at any time of the year. There's always Christmas or something coming up. But I do respect that comment and thank you for it. And anything else that anybody would like to say? Thanks for the positive feedback there, Sarah, as well, by the way. Thank you. Of course, you don't have to say anything here. Hannah's got something to say. Brilliant. Thank you, Hannah.
Sorry, my screen was off because I was eating a chocolate bar.
Oh, right. now she tells us.
No, it was a crunchy. No, I think for me, obviously, I found it really overwhelming the first day because everything was new to me. So I think the only thing that would be great is to have more time on the course working on the portfolio task when we've got other people around us. So I could be like, Hayley, could you just help me with this for 5 minutes, rather than going home to do it, just having allocated time with the group around us. That would be my only feedback.
Okay, that's helpful, that portfolio time. Okay, I've made a note of that and I'll feed that in. That's super helpful. Thank you, Hannah. That's great. Thanks. Hayley, did you want to come in here?
Yeah, I was just going to echo that really. I think that sort of time would be really valid, even if it was just sort of to plan, right, this is what we need to do in this section, because I know some of it's been like, oh, what do I do here? But yeah, so I think that sort of planning time for the coursework would be really useful.
Sure. Okay. My problem is always, what do we lose?
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't put an extra webinar in, for example, and use that as an opportunity to get you all thinking about how to progress with your portfolio, and do some planning time in that maybe. So that might work. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to feed back? Well, so you'll get the chance through the evaluation. What I really want to do is just talk about the assessment again, the portfolio. So the deadline is coming up 28th of July for you to submit that. I've had a few comments and questions through emails and WhatsApp groups, and I'm doing my kind of best to keep those sort of filled in. Somebody was asking me something. I'm just having a look down actually to see. Oh, so it was somebody about the learning outcomes mapping.
I think that was from me, an email yesterday.
Yeah, I've just found that. Yeah. Do you want to ask the question here so that everybody else will get the benefit from it, Rachel?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, let me just get my trail up from yesterday.
It was something
Here we
about...
go. Yeah, sorry, it was just a quick question regarding the mapping document for the portfolios. Under that last learning outcome, it mentioned about national occupational standards for career development practitioners.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure that I was somehow evidencing that, but I wasn't entirely sure what it actually meant. So I just wanted to double check.
Well, the National Occupational Standards are available on the Career Development Institute website. What I'm just going to do is open this document so I can make sure that I give you the actual information that you need. Just bear with me a second, please. So this is in the learning outcome mapping, you say?
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to check what I've written there so that I can answer this question the best way possible. So let's have a look. So it's the last section, you say. Okay.
Yeah.
So right. Okay. So the National Occupational Standards, they're the things that are on the CDI website. If you wanted to, you could have a look at those and think about how they mapped over to your own role. You could think about the extent to which you've got somebody who's equipped to do your independent impartial career guidance. So that could be something you think about, whether or not you've got that facility and whether they're up to the level 6 standard, for example. You know, so it's little things like that. I mean, I don't think you should do a big focus on the NOS, National Occupational Standards, but it's one of those many frameworks that are there to help you think about how you work across your school, really, and your own role.
Yeah, and I guess actually naturally through the documents that we've got to put in anyway, the mandatory elements, it's going to naturally come out through that anyway. So
sure,
that's reassuring. Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. I think I've responded to everybody else's comments, but I may be wrong. You might want to tell me if there's any other questions about this. Got any questions? Or indeed about how you actually, now somebody did say to me, how do I sort out the portfolio online in Google Documents? So there was a question there. Oh, Hayley, do you want to comment?
Yeah, just quickly on that mapping, that's obviously our criteria of everything we have to have to cover. Obviously we've got a list of sort of documents that you're expecting within that. Now if we just put in CPD sort of template and plan of this is what we want to do, do we need, where we're sort of saying the reasons why we're doing that can come in our reflective journal, or do you want that as part of that plan?
Well, I mean, the plan itself, I've given you the template, and some of that does actually include a small rationale, but don't labour that. I mean, it's a plan, it's not meant to be an essay. So I think the place for you to write about that would be in your reflective journal. Okay, and some of what you'll be wanting to map across that document will be reflective journals, section 6, page 1. You know, that sort of thing, so that I can track back and have a look at where those entries are.
Right, so we put that on our document.
On your mapping document, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I mean, what I would say is there are mandatory documents for you to include. And I have put in there, I think, the checklist that I use to just audit the portfolio as well. But remember, one of the reasons we decided to do this form of assessment was because it helps you to collate all of these important documents and to have them stored somewhere that, you know, if Ofsted come knocking on the door, you know, you've got them all collated into one place. It's really helpful. Or the quality and careers standard, if you were doing that, you know, they're all in one place. So there's no problem with adding additional documents into this if that's going to be helpful for you. So there's a minimum standard, but if you want to add other things, please do. What I would say is please organise your portfolio in a way that makes it easy to find stuff. So I like to see a table of contents and then subsections, you know, so that really, helps me. If I just open a folder and it's got about 40 or 50 different documents in, it's really difficult for me to locate everything. So try and give it a little bit of structure, and it just makes it easier. Never try and upset your assessor is my rule of thumb. So don't make it difficult for me. Make it as easy as possible. Does that make sense? But use it as you want to, and use it to develop your thinking and your strategy too. Okay. Any other questions? You're going to be okay to meet the deadline, all right? 28th of July. Anybody going to struggle? Because if you are, you don't have to say now, but if you are going to struggle, then what I would ask you to do is to email me and let me know that it's going to be late. So it is negotiable if there is a problem. It's not a never-ending kind of open kind of option. We do need to negotiate a new submission deadline if you are struggling, but please let me know and we can sort that out. Okay, so the worst thing in the world is to not let me know, and then it all goes pear-shaped. Keep me updated and that's fine. Hayley, you've got your hand up.
Sorry. Obviously you said on the course when we've submitted, if there's anything that you think, oh, I need a bit more on this or that, you would contact us. Have we got sort of a time frame that we would have had to have submitted those bits by? I'm just thinking obviously school holidays and planning on trying to be away and things like that, whether what sort of the guidance is with that. Hopefully it won't happen, but you know.
It does happen from time to time. The thing here is I always approach assessment in this way. I want to get you guys through. Okay, it's important to me that you all pass and you all get through this. So I am someone who negotiates. Okay, so if there are things that I think you need to develop, you'll get the audit document and my comments back, and it will be please contact me to talk about a date when you can resubmit this. And we usually agree that through email around, because I've got time off as well over summer, we need to make sure that it's mutually convenient. Okay. There would come a time, if you say like, well, I'll submit it next Christmas, well, that's not going to happen. Okay. But usually I would say, a lot of people, if there's little bits, sometimes it's, I can't find your policy. And it's like, oh, well, sorry, I'll just upload it now. And it can be as simple as that. And sometimes there's perhaps a little bit more to do, in which case it might be 2 or 3 weeks. But, usually it's pretty quick. And you guys are, you're very focused on this. I'm not expecting lots and lots and lots of big gaps here. If you're not sure, do email me and I can advise you, So if you're not sure which document to upload, show me and I can tell you. And there's always the option for booking a tutorial as well if you need to. Okay. Anything else? Good. Okay. Well, here we go. Now then, here's a little test for you. I've been getting some reaction feedback, haven't I? What sort of evaluation is this going to be? There's a little QR code here. You can do it today or you can wait until you've handed in your portfolio. But what am I trying to evaluate through that? Testing you now.
Hey, is my phone down there?
Ooh,
David, my phone
exciting.
down there. Can I have it?
That is exciting, Sarah. I'm just going to turn you off. Mute participant. There we go. Yeah, so sorry, I was asking a question there about what type of evaluation am I seeking through this little tactic? And somebody was going to jump up and tell me the answer. Well, not perhaps jump up, but raise your hand. Remember Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation? And I said, quick feedback in the classroom, that's really testing reaction, isn't it? Did you like it? Has it worked for you? We've had a little bit of conversation about the application of your learning. So that is testing learning. But this method will also test your learning and it will test changes in behaviour because I want to know what you're doing as a result. What you're getting there is a little bit of both of those areas of impact measurement. Okay, and just to let you know that every year I have to write a report for the Career Development Institute, which summarises everybody's feedback. So I collate everybody's from all of the cohort into one report. It isn't specifically for you guys, so it's a general feedback and evaluation process. Okay, but yeah, just thought I'd test you there. How exciting. Keep you on your toes on a Tuesday afternoon. Okay, that's the end of my slides now. So I'm going to stop sharing. And to give anybody an opportunity to say anything before we finish. I'm conscious this is the last session that we've got, and I have to say I've really enjoyed working with you guys. You've kept me on my toes and stimulated my thinking, as well as hopefully vice versa. So it's been a great group to work with. But if anybody wants to say anything before we close, then you can do. I don't intend to keep you here until 5 o'clock unnecessarily. If you want to leave now, please do. If you want to hang about, I'm here. If you want to say something, please go for it.
I just wanted to say thank you, Nikki. I've really, really appreciated the course. It's been quite an up and down journey for me, as you know, but actually it's been really, really helpful. So I don't know whether lots of you know, but I've actually just recently changed jobs, and I actually got that job, Nikki, that I went for, which is really exciting.
Brilliant news,
and
well done.
And they've asked me to do the careers leading for primary careers, which I know is a new thing. So
Yes.
that's quite exciting. So
Yeah.
already they're sending me their documents, which are not great. So that's really interesting. And the other thing is that they are calling me a careers advisor rather than the careers lead, which again is interesting. So a bit of education there, I think. So just thank you so much. It really helped me to do that. It's given me loads of confidence as well in terms of what I'm actually doing, and kind of being able to describe that and stand up for myself. So yeah, thank you very much.
No, that's good work, Becky. Well done. Really,
thank
congratulations
you.
on that. Good luck with it all as well.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? You guys are stuck here. I'm amazed that you're still here and not disappeared quickly.
Again, just thank you really for all your help and support.
Okay, no, that's good, Hayley. I'm glad you found it useful. Feels like a bit of an end of an era coming here, doesn't it? With you guys all whizzing off now to go and do these jobs to the best of your ability, and with the support of all these champions. Steve, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you to all of you, because it's been fantastic meeting all the new faces, hearing about the jobs they do in different schools, but especially you, Nikki. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, Steve, and of course you should all keep in touch and let me know how it's going. And if you see me at events, come up and say hi. You know, it'd be nice to keep in touch with you all. Thank you. It feels a bit like an Alcohol Anonymous kind of meeting, this. Sorry. you don't all have to say anything, honestly. But thank you for those that have.